Also, I'm not going to publicly publish this recording because the questions that I'm sharing are from a practice exam that we pay for. So therefore, I'm not supposed to, share those on the internet, but I'll record it so that I have a private recording for one of the attendees who said they couldn't make it today and they would like to watch it. Okay, here we go. You can see the practice screen.
Yes.
Excellent. So this is a practice exam that you get when you book your exam, you notice that it offers you an opportunity to buy a practice test. This is the practice test that it tries to sell you. I personally think that it is very worthwhile, the price for the associate and expert level anyway. For the fundamentals, I think those are easy enough for you to pass without it. However, you don't need to buy it now because we're going to do it together. Now, there are a few different ways that you can look at practice questions in here, and what we are going to do is look at them section by section. So you know that in the AI engineer exam, there are these 5 sections: plan and manage Azure Cognitive Services Solution, implement computer vision, implement natural language processing solutions, implement knowledge mining solutions, and implement conversational AI. And actually, where I say you know that these are the 5 sections, maybe you don't. So let me just show you this. Oops, Microsoft. No, try that again. So from the Microsoft Learn site that I hope you are all familiar with, it is possible to look not just at your learning paths, but also, you can investigate learning by role. So those are all the different roles that you can see, or also by certifications. Then if we say by certifications, and I say AI engineer, then it offers us more information about them. So it bizarrely actually doesn't offer the AI fundamentals as the prereq. It says the Azure fundamentals is the prereq. There is no prereq, so you don't need to have done something to do this engineer exam. I myself say that the AI fundamentals is a better prep session than the Azure fundamentals, which is quite a broad learning path that with a lot of knowledge in there. So anyway, we are looking at the Microsoft Certified AI Engineer Associate today. And what you can, if you click on that, what you can see is it will tell you a little bit more information about the exam, and it will tell you that these are the skills measured. And I think if we look in here, is that the thing? Right. Schedule exam, learning path. Oh, here we go. Please download the skills measured document here. So if we look at this, is it downloading? Here we go. Download exam skills outline. And so here it tells you, this is the rubrics for the exam, and it tells you that this was updated or will be updated today. Oh, this is not good. this means that exams sat after this day might be slightly different than the practice set that we're looking at here. And so here, these are all the things that it says are involved. So you can make sure you can, go through each of these and check that you understand what each of these things are. So what it's saying is the changes were only minor revisions from the last exam. So if, like me, you like to prepare via these training questions, it's saying that they will not be quite as similar as they were. However, I think we're probably safe enough. So what we're going to do, we're going to attack each of these sections a few at a time. So we'll do this first section first. Okay. And we're going to ask it to show us the answers each time because the answers are as good. Now it's going to say there's only 23 questions in this practice set that are equivalent to that section. So I need to change that. Okay. Now we're not going to do all of the questions in the practice set because we only have 2 hours. So some of them I will skip, but we'll do a few. Now, in the exam, you will definitely see questions like this. And what happens is there are 3 questions in this set, and you cannot go back and review this type of question in the actual certification. This is because generally one of the answers here is correct, and once you know which one is correct, the other 2 are kind of obvious, and so switching back and forth between them would kind of allow you to logic the correct question out. So let's have a look. We're building a new app for a retail shop. The app ingests live video stream from the shop's internal security cameras. You want to inspect customer traffic in front of the checkout counter and notify shop assistants when there are more than 5 people waiting in the queue. You need to use a cognitive service to extract required insights from the camera's video stream. Solution, use Azure Personalizer. Does this solution meet the goal? So tell me, put it in the chat or shout it out if you're brave.
I'd say no.
Yes, because do you know what Azure Personalizer is?
I think it's a tool to help make decisions.
Yeah, it's kind of like Netflix. So, when you're watching Netflix and you've watched a couple of films and then it comes up and shows you another one and says you might want to watch this next because this one is like those ones. Or when you're shopping in Amazon and you bought a couple of things and it pops up, hey, customers that bought those things that you've just bought also bought this thing. Do you want to add it to your basket? That is what Personalizer is. So we are correct in saying no there. So the rest of it is all correct, is all the same, but the solution here is use spatial analysis. Does this solution meet the goal?
I would say no.
Yeah, I'd say no as well.
I am not too sure because spatial analysis is a newer. Yeah. Yeah, the answer is yes. Spatial analysis is a newer thing, but it is part of the computer vision solution. So it can ingest live video stream, detect and track people, monitor specific regions of interest on video, and generate an event when a specific trigger occurs. So it can monitor an area in front of the checkout counter and trigger an event when a count of people exceeds a defined number. I'm just gonna see if I can find my deck in the background as well, which has a nice GIF demonstrating that exact thing. Okay, let's look at the third one. Q&A maker. Does that solution meet the goal?
Hi, my name is Michelle Sanford. I am a developer engagement lead at Microsoft, and I'm going to show you real quick how to set up your Microsoft account, connect it to the certification dashboard, and book an exam. Okay.
I would say no.
No is correct there, because what is Q&A maker? Q&A maker is something that you use with chatbots, and you can upload question and answer pairs to help the chatbot respond when users are chatting to it and asking it questions. Here we go. Okay.
I have a question though. What would you use in this scenario?
The spatial analysis, as it
Okay.
told us in the last question. Well, I'm just going to show you this spatial analysis. You see this? Isn't that amazing? It is detecting the people, it's separating them out and saying there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different people in that shopping area, and speaking about confidence of them. You can also do like this. So it's checking, which is exactly what that question said, how many people are in that queue. And this is judging social distancing. So it's actually showing the number of feet people are from each other. Obviously, over here we put it in metric, but that's American distancing. Face mask detection is also a thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So we look at this one again. The correct answer here was yes. This solution meets the goal. Spatial analysis as a cognitive service for computer vision. It can ingest a live video stream, detect and track people, monitor specific regions of interest on the video, generate an event when a specific trigger occurs, monitor an area in front of a checkout counter, and trigger an event when the count of people exceeds the defined number. So if you have followed your learning paths, you should have seen those GIFs that I just showed you from the presentation. All of those are in there demonstrating what it's like. So, you know, you don't need to do the labs in order to pass the exams, but you should follow the learning path and you should look at all the GIFs and all of the videos that there are in that learning path, because they will definitely give you that very clear view of what things are so that you're able to picture them. So when it asks about face mask detection, you'll remember spatial analysis. Social distancing, you'll remember spatial analysis. Entrance counting, spatial analysis. You'll remember what it looks like in the tool. People counting. There we go. Cool. Let's do another one like this. So you're a developer for a sports organization, creating an app for supporters of your team to upload photographs. You need to block photographs that may be offensive. Can you use an anomaly detector for that? Shout it out to me. If you don't know, shout your guess, it's fine.
I would say yes.
It is.
I would.
Yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
I would say no.
I would say no, because anomaly detection is when you have a lot of data gathered over time, and that has allowed you to create a baseline. So, for example, if you're running a mine site and you have some, machines running that mine site, you've been gathering data from those machines as they run, and then after a certain amount of time, one of the parts in the machine starts to wear down or starts to fail, and the recordings in the data start to show anomalies. And it will be like maybe the machine is not cutting as well as it did previously, or maybe it's not spinning as fast, or maybe all of the I don't know, ore that's coming through the track is sort of moving to one side instead of being centrally processed, in which case you see an anomaly. And that is anomaly detection, when something is deviating from the normal way you expect things to be in the data. So blocking photos that are offensive is not a indicator of anomaly detection. And anomaly detection is something that was taught in the AI fundamentals course, and you should absolutely know what that is, because there are a lot of questions around that for sure. It's a very common scenario and a very common tool that's used in industry and in these exams. Okay, personalizer, yes or no? So we just talked about personalizer before.
No.
Correct, because personalizer is the thing in Netflix that gives you the movies that you like, or the thing in Amazon that asks you to add stuff to your shopping basket. Content moderator. Is this a thing?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. It even sounds like it, right?
Yeah, the name gave it away. The name gave it away. Yeah.
Exactly. So content moderator is a cognitive service that identifies content that is potentially offensive, including images that may contain adult, racy, or gory content. It flags such content automatically for a human to review in a portal. Now, if you were in the fundamentals exam, questions and answers like this would definitely give away, the answers to other questions, and you can go back to every single question in the fundamentals exam and change your answers before you submit. In the associate level exam, it doesn't let you go back to these ones that are like this in the 1, 2, 3 section. So you need to know the content better, because it's not going to give you clues that you can go back to. Although it does give you clues in some ways. In the name, there is a big clue. Okay, this is a drag and drop question. So we have some answers at the bottom here, and we have only 3 squares. You can use each of these things once, more than once, or not at all. So the scenario is you're helping the customer support department of a global health insurance company extract useful information from the daily customer queries and insurance claims requests that they receive through a bot. You need to add additional functionality to your bot using Azure Cognitive Service to resolve different requirements. To answer, move the appropriate service to each description. So understand and respond to customer voice inputs.
Speech service.
Yeah. Process claim form images to extract customer information.
Computer vision. Oh, text analytics, sorry.
That's an interesting one, because
yeah, I was thinking OCR.
This is OCR, yeah, which is definitely part of computer vision. Yeah, I think it's that, right? I think it's that. We will see in a minute.
Yeah.
And this one we just did, which is that one. So let's see. Yes, good. And here in the explanation, it tells us why each thing is right and why it is not right. So whoever said text analytics provides natural language processing for text mining and text analysis, including sentiment analysis, opinion mining, key phrase extraction, language detection, and named entity recognition. And although these features are very useful, none of them satisfy any of the given requirements. So, and also for like custom vision, you want to know what is the difference between custom vision and computer vision. Which one are you using in which scenario? Okay, so this is another one that we're dragging and dropping. This is a little bit worse in that we need to put them in the right order as well. Oh, well, this is a very easy one, and you will definitely get this in your exam. If you don't get it in your exam, I would be very surprised. So, your app uses an account key called Key1 to access Azure Cognitive Services. Due to an accidental source code leak, Key1 is compromised. You need to reset the value of Key1 without impacting the accessibility of Azure Cognitive Services. Your actions must also minimize administrative efforts. Which 3 actions should you perform in sequence? So,
The first one, I would say update your app to use key 2.
I would say that you are correct.
And then I will reset key 1 and then update the app to go back to key 1.
Yes, perfect. So if you know how this looks in the tool, you have 2 keys there. Normally by default, it's using key 1. You can tell things to point to the other key. When your key is compromised, you can then reset the compromised key, and then you can update it to go back to the default. You should always do that. That is the proper way to do things. Cool. This looks like for my brain, whenever I see like a bunch of code on the screen, I'm always like, oh, yuck, that looks so boring like that. I love Visual Studio Code because it puts all the code in different colors and it makes it more, more interesting to look at. But when I see it like this, I'm just like, oh, no. But they also do that to try and, scare you a little bit. So let's not let it. Let's see whether this is obvious. You deploy a new multi-service cognitive services resource in Azure West European region. You retrieve your resource's subscription key, and it's this from Azure. Plan to use a Linux command to test the Spanish to English translation functionality. You want to test it with your cognitive services subscription key using the code snippet shown below. So here's the code, then select yes if the statement is true, otherwise no. So first check West Europe. If it didn't say West Europe, if it said something else in there, then that would definitely be wrong. Check is the key matching. If that wasn't matching, then that would definitely be wrong. Translate from Spanish to English. Hola, amigo is definitely Spanish. Translate IPI from Espanol to English. It all looks roughly okay. Subscription key from the Cognitive Services resource can be used to authenticate requests for the translator service API. So actually this is nothing to do with the code. It's asking whether that is a thing that can be done. This is a mandatory header for multi-service subscription key. Optional header. Well, in the case of all of these then, and we should also just check, is there any more? No. In the case of all of these then, this is a matter of knowing whether these things are true or not, regardless of what the code says. In fact, the code is nothing but a distraction there. So, does anyone know for a fact these things, or shall we just guess? Anyone
I
want
think
to
I
guess?
can give it a crack.
Go on,
Sorry.
I would go yes, no.
And is that the same as what you would say? Yes, no, or?
Oh yeah, I'm just reading through again. Sorry. Yes for the first one. I would also say yes for this, the second one, and no for the final.
Okay, well,
No. I would say no for the first one.
well, let's see what the answer is. I have really no memory on this one. So it is saying yes, no. So subscription key from Cognitive Services Resource can be used to authenticate requests in the Translator Service API. Multi-service subscription keys are not tied to a specific cognitive service. That's why you can use a single subscription key from the multi-service Cognitive Services Resource to authenticate requests. The subscription key is a mandatory header for a multi-service subscription key authentication against Translator Service API. And the region is not an optional header. It is required when you authenticate. So these are all things you must know and you must remember. A good way to remember is only by trying to build those services yourself, I would say. If you don't build them yourself, then you can't picture it in your mind and you can't remember what it is. So within the learning path, there should be a lab or something showing you this or having you practice this. I don't know that it helps me to remember these things because I look them up when I do them. I don't like memorize what I need to know when I'm building stuff. I follow the documentation. So in fact, I would say if you come across a question like this in the exam and you really have no memory of whether these should be yeses or nos, just fill them in randomly. Do not leave them blank because you don't lose any points for guessing incorrectly. But if you don't put the answers in, then you have no chance of getting the points for that question. Okay. I think I'm going to, what time are we at? I'm going to skip a few ahead. Here's one with a picture. I think it's unusual for them to show a picture like this. Normally they would have an exhibit button at the top and you click on that to see your exhibit. But what we're looking at here is potentially a budget for the next 12 months. And we need to say for each of these things, does the budget set the monthly threshold to $100 US?
I would say no.
User 1 receives an email if the accrued cost of your Azure Cognitive Services reaches $600 in December.
Users. Tricky, but I would say no because it says 50% of the budget or 50% of the amount. But, maybe yes, because that is the condition for alert.
Yeah. And the 600 is half of the 1200.
Yeah.
So maybe it's calculated that from that. User 1 received an email if the accrued cost of Azure Cognitive Services reaches 900 in January.
Yeah, I would say yes.
I'm going to say it's no. Reason being, this is a forecasted, not an accrued, not an actual. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. No time for guesses. Show us the answers. So, budget doesn't set the monthly threshold to 100. Instead, your monthly threshold remains at $1,200. Since you defined your budget with the monthly cap, the budget will reset automatically at the end of each month with the same budget of 1,200. Yeah, we do receive an email here at 600 because that's half of the 1,200, and that is what the alert says. And here we don't receive it at 900 because the threshold of your forecasted cost alert to 75% of your budget. With forecasted alerts, receive a notification not when you accrue the cost, but in advance. So when the forecasted cost projection is predicted to exceed the set threshold, the forecast model predicts your cost based on historical data. And for this reason, the alert requires 10 days of recent cost. We understand all of those. Anyone have some doubts? And we will move on. I'm taking your silence as bored satisfaction with the answers. Okay, let's do some drag and drops. You're configuring a diagnostic logging with your Azure Cognitive Services resource. You need to decide what storage mechanism to choose for each category of logs and their destination. To answer, drag the appropriate storage mechanism for each scenario. It may be used once, more than once, or not at all. So any guesses for the first one? I should say. Anyone know the answer to the first one?
It's a guess for Event Hub.
Anyone for
guessing.
Event Hub? Anyone else?
I think it's a tricky one. You kind of have to eliminate it.
What about the other two?
So for the audit, I'll choose Azure Blob Storage.
I would put maybe Log Analytics Workspace on the second one.
Now, you can use more than one. So it could be that Event Hub is both of these things.
Mm.
But
the data does need to be stored, so blob storage could be a solution.
I think this one's definitely right. That would be, I would bet on that one. These two, I am not so sure. Let's have a look. Okay, so the opposite of what we said. So here, Log Analytics Workspace, maybe this is the clue, send logs to a repository, because definitely the workspace is a repository, and you can connect other monitoring in there collected by Azure Monitor. Definitely see that within your Azure portal. And Event Hub does stream data to external log analytics solutions. Definitely, you have to spend a little time learning what Log Analytics Workspace is, a lot of time understanding Event Hub, because there are a lot of questions around Event Hub. And when I say a lot of questions around Event Hub, what stuff comes from it and where does it go after it? Which things are compatible with it, which things can be used with it, which things cannot, what scenarios would you use it in? All of those yeah, good. The kind of questions that you get around that. Let me get those two links. Yeah. Okay, let's go a few more questions on. Okay. This is another drag and drop one. You have to do them in order, and we need 3 of them in there. So, custom vision resource for a health organization to analyze patient scans in real time. The organization has multiple scan centers across Canada and wants to prevent any data leaks when making API calls to the custom vision resource. You need to configure Azure policy to make your cognitive service inaccessible through the public internet. You want to minimize development efforts and use built-in policy definitions. Policy definitions should not affect any other resources deployed by the organization in the same subscription. Which 3 actions? Does anyone know this?
I did do a lab similar to it, but
is there any of these that you think should definitely be in there? Forget about the order.
I think the 4th one should be there. This is select the cognitive services. Yeah, that one should be there. I'm not sure of the order yet, but yeah.
Select subscription and resource group containing
your computer. Yeah.
Navigate to Azure policy and on assigned policy under assignments. Oh yeah, I think maybe we can find out.
Yeah, let's see. So here, it's not just that we get the right ones, it's that we get them in the right order. So we do have the right ones, but they're not in the right order. So that one would have to be at the top. Okay, so that's the right ones and that's the right order. So we would get points for getting the right ones over there. We would not get the maximum points because we didn't get them in the right order. But, you know, you would still get a lot of points for getting the correct ones. So, and we mostly guessed, I think. So you see, we are still winning. Now, when you read it out like that, it seems to me that, in fact, we should have been able to logically guess those and the order that they are in, because from the description of what it says that we need to do, it's kind of not, it's kind of not that, it's kind of quite logical, you know. Obviously, we go to the Azure policy and we click on assign policy under the assignments, then we select the subscription and the resource group, and then we select the cognitive service accounts and disable the public network access. So if your brain is calm and you can think logically, we should have been able to get them and order them just based on the kind of logic. Okay, this is a different type of question. So we are building a security app for your company. We want to integrate it with Azure Form Recognizer to retrieve personal details from scanned identity documents. To meet corporate security requirements, you're asked to install and run a Form Recognizer as a container on premises, and you need to specify the fully qualified container image name to pull the Form Recognizer container image from the Microsoft repo. And it should, how should you complete this? So what you have here is drop downs. And so you need to know which one of those should be the first one. And then next, and then next. So here it's definitely not sentiment, right? Because we are not doing sentiment analysis anywhere in that. So it's probably key phrase, don't we think? As we are looking for specific details in identity documents. I am not sure.
I think it's a vision one.
And at the front.
I would go with the third one, yeah. Just a guesswork.
Oh, apparently it was MCR and custom full and label tool. So we have nothing, nothing correct here. Not that, nothing. Oh dear. Microsoft Container. Microsoft Container Registry. So we need to know what MCR stands for. Microsoft Container Registry. So then the fact that it was talking about containers is the clue that it should be MCR. Container images. Yes, so MCR. We will never forget that now. Custom form recognizes container image is stored in the services custom form repository. We should use label tool is the name of the form recognizes container image. I guess it is a tool that is labeling each of the fields in the form. Okay, so let's never forget those, but also let's look at these other ones so that we remember. The admin.microsoft.com is a Microsoft 365 admin address. So that's for M365 admin center tasks. Whereas here in this exam, I think we will always be working in Azure. So you can disregard any M365 or Power Portal references. We shouldn't use portal.azure.com. This is the Azure portal address, and we use it to view and manage Azure Active Directory and other Azure resources. And we shouldn't use language. So this is for stuff like Lewis. We shouldn't use vision. This is for other computer vision container images such as OCR. So that's, yeah, you can see why that's confusing because we might have used OCR with the form recognition stuff, but it isn't the same as the form recognition stuff. Okay, good. Should we try another one and see if we have any more luck? New app to run on Edge services. You want to integrate your app with Azure Speech to generate human-like synthesized speech from pre-built text patterns. To reduce latency, you plan to install and run the speech service as a container on the Edge. You need to specify the fully qualified image name to pull the Azure Speech container from the Microsoft repo. Okay, so how we pick
Let's say MCR.
because of the containers. Let's hope it's not a trick.
Speech, or is it? Yeah, speech, I think.
Text to speech, I guess.
You build an app to
Is
run
a
on
tricky one.
speech to generate human-like synthesized speech.
Yeah, generating from a text.
Text to speech. Perfect. So, human speech from text. So is text to speech, speech, and MCR because of the containers. Good. We have learned from our previous mistakes and are now all geniuses. Oh, God, that one looks boring. Docker. On this one, what I would look for is are the things that it mentions up here in here. So like this API key is not in that first one. It is in that second one. It is in that third one, and it is in that fourth one. So I'd rule out that one. And this cognitive services thing is there. Port
I would-
8080.
I would choose the second one.
And
I would.
My reason
Well-
is because you are mapping or you are binding the port from the Docker to your own local host. Your local host is 8080. So the Docker is most likely the 5000. So that should come first.
I like your reasoning. What is the difference between these two?
I would look at like the URL there has billing, so I would rule that one out. I think I would rule it out.
Yeah.
And then the other two have end user license agreement. So now it's about understanding which one is most likely to be incorrect. So we'll take a guess on the second one.
Wait, but they all have billing. That has billing.
Oh yeah, they do. Why is it different?
What's different? This EULA accept in these two and not in this one. Right, let's just see. Oh, no. 3, that is correct. Let's see why. Correctly maps the text analytics container port 5000 to your local host machine 8080. Also provides the correct values for the required 3 primary parameters. We need that EULA thing, definitely. So that's that one that we picked is the wrong way around, but the reason that you chose it is correct. It's just the wrong way around that it runs. And then, yeah. Okay, so basically you do need to know really what is the format that these things are and what is important to be in there. But if you don't know, just pick one, because it is better to have one chance in 4 than it is to not have any at all. Okay, I think maybe we will go to another section. Yeah, I'm going to go to another section. It kind of times out, so makes me log all the way back in again. So we're just going to pick 5 from this computer vision one, because I'm taking too long in each section. So there are 36 computer vision ones. Okay, we'll start with these. You build and train a custom vision classification model in the custom vision portal to identify images of motor vehicles. The model does not perform well when it's used by applications. You want to add more images and balance the model. You need to improve the model so it performs better when used by applications. Solution: copy the project, upload, and tag the new images. Does this meet the goal? I'm going to say no. Does anyone want to argue with me? You copy a project by exporting and importing the project. Adding and tagging new images alone is not sufficient to use the model in an application. The model must also be trained and published. Upload new images and use the smart labeler. Definitely uploading new images is going to help. Use a smart labeler.
No, I would say a smart labeler is not training the new image. It's not retraining the model, rather. Probably using a pre-trained model.
Yeah, it's a good start, though. We're going to say no. And we are right. Smart Labeler will tag uploaded images automatically, reducing manual effort needed to improve the model. However, Smart Labeler alone does not perform all the actions required to use the model in an application. The model must also be trained and published. Excellent. Upload new images, tag the images manually, retrain the model, and publish the latest iteration.
That's a yes.
Okay. Yep. That has done it. And what's the last one? Upload new images, use Smart Labeler, retrain the model, and publish the latest iteration. Ooh.
Yeah, I think that can also work.
Yeah, there we go. We see we have done it, and we see in this one that of the 4 questions, 2 of them were yeses and 2 of them were no's.
Yeah, I have a question on this type of question. So there were 4 questions. Would each one be graded separately, or the whole 4 would count as one? I mean, it sounds silly though, because there are 4 questions. I would expect each one is separately graded, but just to double check.
Each one is graded separately. And this is the reason you cannot go back and review questions of this type in the actual exam, because if you know which, having seen the last 2, you knew those ones were definitely more likely correct than the other 2. So you would likely go back and change those 2 to be no's if you had set them as yeses at the start. So yes, each one is worth its own points, and you cannot go backwards into them in the exam. But the rest of the exam, like these kind of questions, you can go back and change the answer afterwards. But that looks boring. We're gonna skip all the boring ones now. Oh, there's a fun one. 3 actions in sequence. So we're working on the nature reserve to help detecting common objects and animals. The reserve has a security system with over 400 cameras covering a complete area of the park. We take images every minute, storing them in a JPEG format. You need to use the Azure Cognitive Service to extract information from these images through REST API. The solution should not require any model training. Which 3 actions should you perform in a sequence? To answer, move the appropriate actions from the list and put them in order. So I say we're not going to use that one because it's talking about manually uploading and tagging images and training the detector. And up here it says we are not going to do that. No model training. I would also say no custom vision because we are not going to do any model training, which means these other 3 are the correct ones. And then what is the order?
I think generate should be the last one. Looks like this order is okay. No, maybe it's confusing.
It is confusing. I think maybe that's above. Let's see. That's right, right? Yes. Good. Perfect. So we have all of them correct and in the right order. So that's all of the points for us. How excellent. And you see that one, we did it pretty much entirely via logic. I mean, you need to know what is the difference between custom vision and computer vision. If you know that, you know that object detection is part of custom vision as well. It also kind of is talking about manually uploading images in there, which we're not going to do. So we had the 3, and then we've just kind of put them in the logical order. If you have used Azure Portal before and added a computer vision resource, then you will be able to picture that in your mind. So I would, while I say you don't need to do the labs, and in some of the learning path, it will show you what this looks like without you doing the lab. If you do the labs, or if you do build anything in Azure Portal, make sure that you delete all of your resources after use, because you don't want to be using up resources and burning any money. You want to, just use it to get an understanding of things. Generally, the AI resources are all real cheap, apart from cognitive search. In fact, apart from any subscription services, so as a service kind of things. So you can play without fear with a lot of AI stuff, especially if you start with the AI fundamentals pathway. But it's a good way to fix in your mind what the order is likely to be if you can picture what they look like. Okay, another drag and drop. Analyzing images using computer vision service, you need to determine which visual features to use for different requirements. So to generate a list of words for the recognizable objects in the image. It's what? Objects. Describe the image using a hierarchical taxonomy of buildings, food, animals. Okay. So the first one is tags, second one is categories, and the third one is adult. Use tags to generate a list of words for the recognizable objects in the image. Oh, yeah, so sorry. If you had done custom vision, when you're doing custom vision, you tag the objects that you are uploading, and you generally will give it, either one tag or two tags. So I've got one where I have Ewoks or Shih Tzus, and the app that I've built recognizes whether the furry creature is an Ewok or it's a Shih Tzu puppy. And then if I showed it the image, it would be able to use that smart labeler to pick out Ewoks or Shih Tzus from that. There are also like domains that you can load onto there. So there are already pre-trained, pre-recognizable objects in computer vision. And so it will recognize all of those things without any training. Categories to describe the image. So these are all the classes of things. I actually have not used that part at all. An adult was like an obvious one. Oh, no. This, as I say, the forms, the OCR and the form recognizer are super common questions because these are used so regularly in industry. So it's the kind of thing that you'll be using in your workplaces. Company wants to automate the processing of incoming invoices using Form Recognizer. You test the pre-built invoice model of Form Recognizer with a sample invoice as shown in the image below. For each of the following statements, select yes if it's true, otherwise select no. Downloaded in XML format. Can fetch a sample invoice from a provided URL. And analyze 2-page invoices with the free tier. Any guesses? I'm going to say no, yes. And that one I don't know. No. Yes, no. Yes. No. XML, no. URL, yes. 2 pages, totally free. Okay, so free tier does the first 2 pages. With the standard tier, 2,000 pages. Okay, go through. Okay, 5 actions in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is all of the actions. What is the order? Ugh, no way to guess this. Now, this thing has been up there since 2020, excluding the American police force from using this facial recognition because they were not using it responsibly. They were using it lazily, in that they used it as an unquestionable piece of evidence, and they didn't check out the alibis of people. They didn't do the legwork. They didn't do their own responsible checking, and it turned out that the model had been trained with mostly, as is usual, mostly white men, and therefore it was identifying just any person of color as the person who committed the crime, when it was a person of color that committed the crime rather than a specific person of color. And they used it to put people in jail because they said, you know, the facial recognition says that you did it, and they didn't do anything else. They didn't do any due diligence. So we stopped them using it. But then most recently, and I should say specifically in June this year, we also said that, you know what, we're not going to let people use it because a lot of people are not using it responsibly. So in order to use the software now, you have to make an application. You have to say what you're going to use it for and how you're going to use it, and ensure that you're going to use it responsibly, which is, I guess, good and bad in that it's such great software, and it had so many uses that could be used for good, and a few lazy people have kind of spoiled it for the rest. So I'll put those links in that chat as well, because that is a really cool service that could be used in so many good ways. Okay, so you should be able to recognize this if you have had a go with the Custom Vision portal. Custom Vision portal, you should be able to do it for free or virtually for free. And here it's asking us, what does this mean? So does this mean that out of 100 images identified, 75 were of cats? Out of 100 images identified as cats, 43 were of dogs. Each iteration always improves the accuracy of your classifier. Usually. In the real tool, you can click on this little eye and it will tell you what each of these things mean. So this actually does indicate that 75 images were of cats. That doesn't for that, and that does not. Oh yeah. Although technically, like, you couldn't, I don't think you can run another iteration without making any changes to your model. So that's like a bit of a tricky one, in that I would say every time you run your model, it gets better. It says that's not true because you have to add more images and different types of images in order to improve the model. But I say it won't let you run it again unless you've added more things in. Yeah, you should look at balancing it. So for example, I have more Shih Tzus than Ewoks in my model. And I should also add like some images of Wookiees or other dogs or cats, for example, in order to make that even better. So yeah, you need to know what precision is, what a recall is, what false negatives are, what false positives are. Yeah, all of those things. What AP stands for, all of those things. Okay. So see, this one is 5 actions and in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 out of 8 and in sequence. I would say that normally when it's asking you to pick out more things and put them in sequence, this should be an easier question. So it should be, yeah. So is it object detection or is it classification? I'll say object detection because we're looking for specific logos. So I picked custom vision and object detection. I haven't picked computer vision because computer vision is pre-trained and is, we're not doing any training in there. And I wouldn't be able to pick object detection or classification because I'm not creating anything. So that's definitely out, that's definitely in. Object detection or classification, I think we're looking for a specific object in logos. Yeah, I think it's that. We're going to upload and tag images, definitely. We're going to train the model, definitely. And I think we want a prediction URL, not a training one. Let's see. Custom vision, object detection, upload and tag, train the model, retrieve the prediction. Yes. So is anyone looking at that and thinking, I could not have done that, or I don't understand that? Because as I say, when they ask you to pick 5 out and put them in order, they are doing it because they think that's a super easy one. And I did that pretty quick there and got it right because it is pretty easy. Okay, identifies mentions of products, services, and companies. Those are surely brands. Recognizes celebrities from video content. Person. Determine industry terms or specific vocabulary. There we go. Not difficult, that one. So some of the questions are definitely going to be real quick, you know, like without knowing these things specifically, just from understanding like meaning of the word brands, it's that. Celebrities are people, and industry terms or specific vocabulary. Vocabulary is language. It was easy enough to do those. Those ones, throw them in, move on. And the ones that you don't know at all, when you look at them and you just think, I don't know anything here, absolutely just pick some answers randomly and move on. But you can sort of tag them to say you'll come back and review them at the end. And then later, when you are going through and reviewing questions, try and apply your logic to them. Try and, you know, reason it out and get rid of some of them because they are, you know, it's either computer vision or it's custom vision. Which one is it? If it is custom vision, then you can have object or classification. Which one is it? And for the fundamentals exam, you can definitely pass the exam just by being familiar with the content and watching the prep class that I have on my YouTube channel. And sort of, yeah, applying logic and doing keywords. For this, for the associate level one, you do need to know. And you see the things here, that there are a lot of things that if you don't know, you won't be able to logic it out. Okay, building a new language understanding app for a travel agency. Your Lewis app will support multilingual input from customers around the world. You create several holiday booking intents and add sample utterances in English and Spanish. So you should all know what intents and utterances are. After iterative update and training steps, you notice that your app's prediction score is affected by utterances that contain accented letters such as N and U. You need to eliminate the effect of accented characters on your app's training and prediction. Solution: enable normalized punctuation in your app in the Lewis portal. Does this meet the goal? Anyone? Any thoughts? Maybe. There's no. Enabling normalized punctuation for your app in the Lewis portal helps you to remove punctuation such as dots, commas, and brackets and others from utterances before the model gets trained. It does not eliminate the effect of accented characters. Okay. Use your app's API endpoint to normalize diacritics setting to true. Ooh, I think diacritics is the thing. She said, recklessly clicking on it. Yes, there we go. Lewis replaces accented characters, also known as diacritics, as regular characters. Such normalization allows you to ignore the effect of diacritics during your app's training and production. The setting is only available for the supported languages like Spanish, Portuguese, Dutch, French, German, and Italian. Add a phraseless feature. No, that will not affect it. Okay, good. Okay, I don't think we've done anything on sentiment analysis yet. So you're working on a global news media organization that publishes articles on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, etc. They want your help in extracting useful information from comment sections of their published articles. You need to identify the Azure Text Analytics API features to address the below requirements, categorize comments into negative, neutral, and positive, identify the main talking points in a given comment. Which two of the following features should you choose? This is a super easy one.
Yeah. Sentiment analysis and named entity. No, key phrase extraction or named entity, each of them.
Named entity recognition is Paris.
Is key phrase, yeah.
It's these are things that are known. That's a cathedral. That is Paris. That is England. That is the Eiffel Tower. Stuff like that. Those are named entities. Key phrase extraction is when it will scan a document and it will take out the main talking points, or it will take out key phrases. Key phrases. And sentiment analysis is negative or positive, so it'll analyze tweets, stuff like that. Language detection is it Spanish? Is it English? Is it French? Is it German? Is it Chinese? Is it Japanese? Ooh, I don't even remember seeing one like this before. So your company wants to enrich the web interface of its marketing solution with a customized synthetic voice. You're provided with some marketing text samples and asked to create a natural sounding multilingual voices for each of your premium plans. You want to use neural text-to-speech technology to create custom synthetic voices. You need to determine the sequence of TTS technologies. So we have some text samples, and we want to create natural sounding multilingual voices for each of our brands.
I think it is easy. Text input, text analyzer. And then you need voice code, neural vocoder, I don't know, yeah. I'm just guessing, and then audio output. I may be wrong.
That does look very logical. Let's see. Input, analyzer. Yeah, very logical, right? Sure. Company uses Azure's speech service to transcribe your call center's audio recordings into text format. Business team finds that the speech-to-text model provides poor performance when transcribing some product-specific words. You want to retrain your model with options that can improve its accuracy. Which two options should you use to improve the model's accuracy? I'd say we definitely want those, right? Hmm.
I think the first one should be there. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, the marketing text documents would definitely have like all the product words and everything in there that it needs to know. This one will have the correct translation. This doesn't help because it's video and audio, which are two different things. And this one is like a massive amount of work. So yeah, like even by logic, those would be the best ones. Real-time text-to-speech application, improve the quality of speech synthesis and user experience. What should you use for the following requirements? So adjust the pitch and speaking rate. Custom neural voice, long audio API, SSML. It seems I do not even know what all of these are. I feel like this is definitely new since I took the exam. I have some more study to do. Has anyone come across these? Any guesses? Oh. Minimize the time before the user hears the speech after submitting the text. No idea. Anyone else? Any thoughts? Oh, 1 out of 3 correct for me there. So let's see what all these things are. SSML can be used to adjust the pitch and speaking rate. This is speech synthesis markup language. You can adjust the pitch, pronunciation, speaking rate, and volume of the synthesized speech output. Audio data stream to minimize the time before the user hears the speech after submitting text. To lower latency, you should use streaming. In your code, you can start playback when the first audio chunk is received instead of waiting for the whole audio to be received. You can use audio data stream in the speech software development kit to enable streaming. Tuning file to optimize text-to-speech voice output by adjusting speech attributes in the online tool. Long audio synthesizes long-form text such as articles and documents into speech. Custom neural voices are created for more fluid and natural sounding outputs. And this seems I used to lip sync animations of faces to speech. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. Get all of these links out. You will see these in the chat, right? You should take these and have a look at them later. so many cool things you can do with the AI these days. When I was at university, you had to write everything yourself from scratch. And now it's all there like magic for you. A lot of fun to play with. You can definitely play with all of this stuff. It's only like the facial recognition stuff that is restricted now, which is such a shame as well, because that really did have a lot of uses for good. Uses context to extract entities based on labeled examples. Extracts an entity based on the specific pattern you provide. A fixed closed set of related words along with their synonyms. Anyone think I should swap those? That's good. Okay. Okay. You want to test the sentiment analysis feature of the Text Analytics API. You submit your document for analysis. Text Analytics API labels your document as mixed with a confidence score of 0.9. What combination of sentences can generate such results? At least one sentence is positive and the rest are neutral. All sentences are neutral. At least one sentence is positive, the rest are negative. At least one sentence is negative and the rest are neutral. Okay, which one of those? Confidence score is 0.9. When you're talking about confidence scores, what are they scored out of? So this is something you should definitely know, that confidence scores go from 0 to 1. And so 0.9 is like 90, is saying like 90%. So it is saying the document is mixed with a confidence score of 90% or 0.9. So I think it is definitely not the last one. No, hang on. I think it's definitely not the...
I'm thinking it is the third one, actually. I'm torn between the third and the first. The first, if they are neutral, at least one positive, right? So neutral should be like 0 or something very close to that in terms of the no, that doesn't sound good.
Well, I think it's either this one or this one, because I think mixed means like it can't say whether they are negative or they are positive, and therefore they are neutral. But it's 0.9, so therefore maybe something is slightly off. Might lead towards positive as opposed to negative.
Logically, if it can be 1, then it can be the last one. If it can be the first one, then it can be the last one, right?
It could be the first one or it could be the last one, is what my logic is saying, because it's 0.9 and there is one sentence that is positive here and there is one sentence that's negative here. I would lean positive because it's 0.9, i.e. closer to 1 than it is to 0. Let's see it. Oh, wow. So literally the one that at least one sentence is positive and the rest are negative. Yeah, I suppose it's the phrasing that is confusing. At least one is positive and at least one is negative. Well, here the rest are negative. Okay, so if they were all neutral, it would say they were neutral.
I think the idea is maybe we shouldn't look at the numbers. So far it is mixed, then it has to be it has to include positive and negative. Maybe the number is just there to like confuse us, yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, you could be right. Indeed, if we had ignored the number, that we would have been more likely to get that right. Yes. Okay. Oh, to hurry because we have got 2 sections. Oh no, actually, let's do that one. So you have an existing language model for HealthBot, which is in production. The HealthBot application in its present functionality stores vitals like body temperature, blood sugar, pulse rate, and blood pressure. You need to recommend a solution to quickly add an exercise reminder feature to the bot when the user inputs vitals without having to design the model. It must be a pre-built model and minimize the cost and development effort. Reminder feature. So I would say it's intense. These 3 things, though, you need to know what each of these 3 things are. So Lewis has a package of pre-built entities for recognizing common types of information. And the pre-built date time V2 entity will enable the model to identify date and time information to set up exercise reminders. Not domain, because domains are common categories of client applications. So health would be the domain there. And then intents has an intent for users to add vitals, and do not need to add pre-built intents in their respective utterances. Yeah. I know what these things are, but I guess I didn't really understand what it was asking there. Anyway, understand what all of those things are and how they work, I guess, is the thing. Okay, we better do the other two categories. This one again. Okay, 5 minutes on this section. Oh goodness, look at this. A 5-question thing with all of these case studies. That's super annoying. Because it has all of this information in each one. And then it goes to the questions. I hate that because I have a 5-second memory and you can't write things down in your exam. You can't have any paper. You can't type anything on the screen. And so you need to sort of like flick between the question and the requirements or whatever. Oh, look at all of this. I'm not going to do this now because this one is too complex. You integrate your web app with Azure Cognitive Search Service. You want to enrich cognitive search results with the optical character recognition functionality. So you can also identify and extract text from the found images. You need to ensure your solution can cope with the expected high search workload. What should you do? Oh, no idea. Really no idea. Oh, there we go. Lucky guess, you see. I had no idea, but I picked one and it worked. Ooh. You plan to create an Azure Cognitive Search service for your organization. You plan to estimate and manage the capacity of the search service to choose the correct pricing tier and make the service easily scalable. When estimating the planning capacity of your search service, discover different concepts, including search units, replicas, partitions, and sharding. You need to identify the correct capacity concepts corresponding to the given descriptions. So here we need to know what are these things. Billing metrics for Azure Cognitive Search Service. And say shard. I have no idea. An instance used to load balance query operations. Load balance. Okay. Partition. Okay, well, I have the bottom two. First one, I actually didn't even notice that was a thing. And I picked shard because I've never heard of it. Oops, where's the things? Maybe I've heard of it in a different context. Let's see what it is. A shard is a chunk of an index. Oh, well, I suppose if I was a database administrator, I would know that. Okay, cool. Okay, important things to know. Okay, final section. So we have only a few minutes left. Another complicated one where it has a lot of information in each of the things. And generally you'll look at the question here and then you'll go back and see, need to pass the provided file to create a knowledge base in JSON format. What tool should you use to create a knowledge base? Literally do not know. Existing knowledge base in the .lu format. This would imply that it's one of these two. Ludown or Lujan, Lewis Jan. Yeah, there we go. Docker. See, another guess. Incorrect. I'm not sure. Learning. Yeah, I will, but I'll share it as a secret recording. So I'll put the recording up, and but it'll not be a public link. I'll email out the link to you all. So try not to share it because I'm not meant to, share these questions, but I will. Okay, one more question then for the end of our thing. I feel like these are all, like so many of these are questions I haven't seen before. They must have updated it so much since I did the exam 2 years ago. Means I should look forward to it because I was sad because I didn't have any more AI exams to do. Oh, yeah, let's do this one. If you want to build a new bot using the Bot Framework Composer, you can install Composer as a desktop application on your Windows machine. You click the Create New button to create a new bot from the template shown below. Composer requires Node.js to create a new bot. No. Composer creates a main dialog for your body by default. Not sure. Ah. Yeah, look at that. It does require Node.js to create a new bot. I would have thought that we could have done that in Python as well. It creates the main dialog by default, and we don't need any children. Okay, cool. That is it. Then we are done for today because we're at our time. Thank you all for joining. I'm doing the data science one tomorrow, but as I often say, I find the data science one much, much harder. If you found these questions hard today and you didn't know any of the answers, and you haven't done the AI fundamentals, then I would absolutely recommend you doing the AI fundamentals first. You should be able to pass that first time. Well, 97% of people pass that one first time by just reading the learning path and then watching the prep class that I have recorded and got on my YouTube channel. Then I think it's pretty easy to go on to do your AI engineer one, but as long as you have read all the content for it. The data science one I think is much harder. However, I have passed it, so it is possible to do, even though I find it very difficult. And I'm doing, these questions for that class tomorrow if you want to join. Otherwise, I might try and put another one of these classes in next week and do some more questions. If you liked it, then maybe say so either in the chat or in an email, and then or on a LinkedIn post saying you came to the prep class today and you really enjoyed it and we should run more, and then I'll run more. Otherwise, have a good rest of the week, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.